I'm Anil Kumar, and now let us review few concepts about complex numbers. This is to prepare you for pre-calculus. The question here is, simplify and write each of the following in the form a plus bi. Now a plus bi is the standard form of writing complex numbers, right? So the first one for us is 2i times minus 7 I to the power of 7. The second one is square root of minus 16 times square root of minus 4. And the third one is 17i to the power of minus 17. Well, you can pause the video, answer the question, and then look into my suggestions. Now the concept here is that I square is actually equals to minus 1. And square root of minus 1 is I, right? So this is going to help us to answer all these questions. Also remember, if we have odd power of I, that is I is 3 for example, in that case it could be written as I squared times I, which is minus I, right? So that is how whenever we have odd power, it is 5 or 7, it could always be written as minus of I. So we are going to use these concepts to answer our question, right? So remember this. Now let's start answering them one by one. Multiply the numbers. Numbers are 2 times minus 7, which is minus 14. And then I, you get I to the power of 7 plus 1, 8. Now even powers of I will always result in minus 1. Do you get the point? So even powers are minus 1. So we can write this as minus 14 times minus 1, that is 14, correct? Let's do the next one. Minus square root 16. Think like this. In the square root, we have minus 1 and 16. Do you see that? Minus 16, right? So kind of like this. Think like this, okay? You don't have to write like this, but just think like this. So I'm not splitting minus 4 in this fashion, okay? What is square root of minus 1? Square root of minus 1 is I. And what is square root of 16? 4. So I can write this term as 4i, right? So this is my first term. The second term here is again minus 4 square root. So square root of minus 1 is I, right? So let me write I first this time. And square root of 4 is 2. So we get 2i. Now it is good practice to write 2i, okay? Now let's multiply these. 4 times 2 is 8, and then I times I is I square. Now I square is minus 1, so we can write this as 8 times minus 1 or minus 8 as our answer. Correct? That's how we get it. The next one is 17 times I to the power of minus 17. Now the degree of I is odd, right? So let me do it in few steps. Let me write this as 17 times I to the power of, it is minus 17, right? So what I should do is I could write this in the denominator, right? So let me write this as, okay, for the time being, let me write the question as such. And minus 17 means 17 over I times 17, okay? Now, this is an odd power, just as we were discussing I to the power of 3. Now, I to the power of 17, for example, will be I to the power of 16 times I, right? Now, I to the power of 16 will be minus 1. So, we can write this as minus I. Do you get the point? Therefore, I can write this as 17 over minus I. Correct? Now, we need to write this in standard form, a plus bi for all of them, right? So I'll write the answers later. First, let me simplify all of them, okay? Now here we have I in the denominator, which we don't want. So we will multiply by its conjugate. The conjugate of minus I is plus I. So we'll multiply and divide by I. Once you do that, you get I times I is I square, which is minus 1, and minus 1 times minus 1 is plus. So we get 17i in the numerator. Correct? So we have simplified all the three expressions, and now we are going to write, so that is the first part, simplify. And the second part is write each of the following in terms of a plus bi. That's a standard form, right? So I hope you have understood the process of simplifying. Let's write the answer in a plus bi form now. Now a and b are real numbers. Now in this particular case, what we got was a constant term 14. This is also a complex number. So let us write this in that form. So it is 14 plus 0i. Generally, it is not required to be written 0i, right? So 14 itself is that form, but just because the question is saying like this, I prefer to write it very clearly as 14 plus 0i. The next one, again, we have a constant here. Constant is minus 8, just as in the previous case. So I could write this as minus 8 plus 0i, just as I wrote there. Now we get 17i, right? This is called the pure imaginary part. This could be written as, let me write it here, as 0 plus 17i, where a will be 0 and b will be 17, right? So these three are the answers in the standard form a plus bi. But please note that we don't really have to write the zeros. It is, even if we write like this, it is understood to be in the standard form. But we are being on the safe side. Thank you and all the best.